if I think about the recent IPO of Solid, okay, biosciences in the gene therapy area, okay, really interesting. I really have a lot of respect and admiration for Ilan Ganot, the CEO who was a banker at JP Morgan and left his position in banking to try to find solutions for his son who has Duchenne. And interestingly, his son was diagnosed the month that we revealed our phase 2 48-week data, where our stock went up 200% that day and hit $1 billion market cap. And that was an event that actually influenced Ilan to start Solid. I'm sure there were other influences, but the idea that there was money and value ascribed to a Duchenne company, that was our only main value driver, right? We had a couple government programs against Ebola marker, but the main value driver was a potential therapy for Duchenne. And I think that had him thinking about creating a fund or creating a company that was solely focused on finding cures for Duchenne. Now that company's public, right? And there's been at least half a dozen companies that have gone public on Duchenne since those early days where you could drive $1 billion valuation. When PTC went public, they got to $1 billion in that first year of being public. When Prosensa went public, they got to $1 billion. And it's not about the value and the money to investors. It's about the idea that you can raise capital to develop a rare disease therapeutic because investors can see that there's a return on that investment. And that's when I think that opened the gates to many modalities coming in. And many companies decided to make DMD one of their prime focus areas because they knew that there was unmet need, that you could characterize a response in fairly good fashion compared to a lot of rare diseases where you didn't have as much natural history. And I think that I'm not surprised at all. And again, very pleased with what we did to kind of help with educating the biotech community, our early partnerships with various foundations and the DMD advocacy community, where we were educating them as much on the way biotechs are invested in and how the FDA process works as they were educating us on living with this disease in their families and what endpoints were important to them and how they were trying to apply advocacy to PDUFA 5 and 21st century cures. So it was really a two-way exchange, and I think the FDA was trying to learn about dystrophin and Duchenne, and they were interfacing with both industry and advocacy at that point.